Okay, greetings, Chess Club of Fairfield County members. My name is National Master Daniel Lowinger, and I'm very excited to be going over these instructive games with you. Some of these are very famous games and some of my favorite games. So the first game we're going to be looking at is between Nimzowitsch and Capablanca. Nimzowitsch is the author of My System, one of the great classics of positional chess, and Capablanca was world champion. And this is from New York, 1927. And this game, I think, we're going to make a two-part video. The first part is going to be focused on the opening and middle game, and then the second part on the late middle game, end game. And what I think we can really learn from this video is what to do and what not to do when you have a space advantage in chess. Okay, and so the opening is an advanced Caro-Kann. Nimzowitsch is playing white, and by getting this pawn to e5, he gets a space advantage, meaning that black can't develop his knight normally, for example, to f6. And so he's going to have a little bit more trouble getting his pieces to good squares because there aren't as many squares available to him. And I think right at this moment on move 4, Nimzowitsch already makes the first inaccuracy. I don't want to go so far as to say it's a mistake, but we can say that pretty much no strong players do this move anymore. And that's the move bishop d3. And it looks at first glance fairly natural. You develop your bishop. Okay, it looks kind of visual, like a normal move. But actually, it is not aligned with what we understand we should do with a space advantage. The whole thing about a space advantage is that the opponent doesn't have enough squares for his pieces. So the more trades you make, the less pieces the opponent has, the easier it is for them to find good squares. Nowadays, strong players make almost any other move. Knight c3, knight f3, I think knight e2 even, bishop e3 probably, and also these interesting moves g4 and h4, which I think I'm going to use as an example just because I think they demonstrate the space advantage more immediately than the other variations. The other variations also are going to use similar concept, but they delay them a little bit. But I think the most direct example of this is the move h4, which is played by Tal, and then has still been played by very strong players and was very popular, I think, in the last 10 years. Black's most natural follow-up to bishop f5, he has to develop his knight and bishop on the king side to get castled. And so his idea with bishop f5 is, I'm going to play bishop f5, then I'm going to play e6, then I'll develop this bishop, and I'll develop the knight behind it so it doesn't step in the way of the bishop, and then I'll castle. Problem is, because this bishop doesn't have that many squares because of the space issue, I can now, as white, play g4, and the bishop will run out of squares, either by going to e4 first and then going to g6, or in the other order. But we can see this bishop is literally out of squares because of the space disadvantage. And so black would lose a bishop, and that's losing. So the move bishop d3 runs counter to that sort of strategic demand from the position, that you utilize your space advantage to make the opponent uncomfortable and unable to develop properly. Now, of course, black can just play e6 very comfortably. And I'm going to play a few more moves. Capablanca finds a very logical plan. He's going to prepare c5 to try to undermine the base of the pawn chain, something that you do in the French defense. c5. Takes. Now f2 is under attack, so castles. And knight e7. Okay, so black has done very natural looking moves, very logical moves. He first got his bishop out, then brings his knight out so it doesn't block the bishop, and now he's ready to castle. The knight has a very comfortable square on f5, and so everything is looking good. This moment right here, I think, is the most instructive moment of the game, and one of the most instructive moments in sort of chess strategy, certainly more specifically for what to do with a space advantage. And I think Nimzowitsch really sort of overlooks the moment. What I would suggest doing here to get the maximum educational value from this video is to pause the video and give yourself 10 minutes. You can put a chess timer on and ask yourself, what move would you play here as white and why?